When I talk of the soul as our consciousness and the mind as a thinking machine, there's a big distinction between the two. And why I want to bring it to your notice is because when I came to this country first time, people did not even distinguish between the two. They asked me questions like this. Now, you talk about this mind, soul, whatever it is, as if there's no difference between the mind and the soul. They thought that the thinking self is it. The philosopher who said, I think, therefore I am, was wrong. He should have said, I am, therefore I am, and I have a brain, a mind that thinks, which I use for thinking. That's the truth. So we have identified ourselves with the thinking process to such an extent that when we think something, the I is attached to that thought, not to the fact that we are providing consciousness for the brain to think. We don't realize that we are providing conscious power to our mind to think. That therefore we don't become the thinking machine itself. We don't become the mind just because we use it. It's like saying we have a very high efficient computer and we use for every purpose. Computer tells us everything, therefore we are the computer. They say some people, sociologists are predicting in the next 50 years, computers will have super intelligence. They'll gather the intelligence of a lot of people. No individual has it. So they will become our masters and they will tell us what to do all the time. And we will become just like zombies acting under the instructions of computers. Somebody told me this. I said, why are you waiting for that? We're doing it right now. We're doing exactly that. We are following our mind exactly like zombies. Whatever the mind says, we start doing it. Whatever the mind says, we start believing it. We don't have any other reliance on ourselves. We don't realize that we are the power that is making the mind alive. We are the power that uses the mind. We can use the mind by directing it to think what our inner self wants. Let me give you a distinction, clear distinction between the mind and the soul. The mind will always work in time because its only process of working is through thinking. And even the smallest thought takes time. The self works through intuition, gut feeling. The gut feeling comes without time. It comes sudden and there is no time. The mind can reason itself through thinking to come to a conclusion. Gut feeling never reasons, never takes time. It's just a knowledge that comes instantly from ourselves. The feeling and expression of love which we feel towards people, towards ourselves, that inner feeling of love comes from ourselves, not from thinking. You cannot think yourself to create the experience of love, but you can have love and then think about it. And if you think too much about it, then the love disappears. The intuitive power of the soul, of our own self, has total clarity in it. It does not include any doubt or fear. The mind has doubt and fear in almost everything it does. The big distinctions. The power of appreciating beauty lies in the spirit, in the soul, not in the mind. The mind can analyze. To appreciate beauty, there's an element of synthesis, element of looking together, which the mind lacks. Therefore, the self does it directly, and the rest, analysis done by the mind. The two functions are so different. But the basic difference that the mind always works in time and space distinguishes it from intuition all the time. A friend of mine came to me, he says, I've been practicing to develop my intuition. I said, I didn't know how to do that. Come teach me how you do that. He said, well, now let me see. I have to decide whether I should go right or wrong or left, or whether I should go east or west. Now I'm going to use my intuition. West, see? I said, what was that for? That's for the mind working. The mind, you can't say that the quick thinking of the mind becomes the intuition. You can't say speed up the mind and therefore it's intuition. Intuition is when you are not even thinking about it. You are thinking the opposite. You say, I want to go there. Gut feeling says, don't. Which is that feeling coming from? It has no time. It's not reasoned out. It is no logic in it. And yet, so many times, look back in our life, so many times, I should have relied on my gut feeling. I should have relied on that intuitive feeling I got. All the time we are saying it. The reason is the mind's thinking and reasoning is based upon very little data in front of it. The little information the mind has, it just uses that, puts it together and gives a reason. Next day we find there's something else the mind didn't know. Oh, I was wrong, I didn't know that, so I was wrong in my conclusion. Intuition doesn't function on that basis. Intuition gathers our entire experience, maybe genetic experience, for millions of years, puts it together and gives instant knowledge of something intuitively. It carries so much hidden memory, subconscious, it puts all together and gives intuitive indication what we should do. But we don't want to rely on that. Why don't we rely on our intuition? The mind argues against it. The mind says, no, that doesn't make sense. This business of trying to make sense all the time does not allow us to use our intuition. I have suggested to one group to work for a month using only intuition and see if there's a change in their life. Their life changed completely. Their life changed so wonderfully, they say everything is happening by itself. All the goodies are coming by themselves. We don't have to think about it because when we think, we make mistakes. So this is something very interesting, that our own power of consciousness per se, is the power to experience love, the power to have intuitive knowledge, the power to appreciate joy, beauty and bliss. That's intuitive. That's all in us. That's our real self experiencing. And we are relying on a cover upon ourselves, a machine that's been given, an accessory given to us to use. Use it, then it's good. If people use their mind, they are doing a good thing. But if they are being used by a mind, then they are doing something which is very risky and making you miserable. Those who live a life dictated by their mind, look how miserable they have become. All uncertain. Because mind is always uncertain. It can't see the future. It can't have a good conclusion. It uses logic. It uses strange kind of logic. Some logical answers are based upon what you can already see. It says, this is a tablecloth, it's some nice flowers on this, and now this part also has flowers. That's a great logical conclusion. That you saw the whole tablecloth, then you looked at a part of it and said, this has got the same flowers. That's logical. It's called deductive logic. All deductive logic depends on getting something out of the data, the premise already given. It never goes beyond that. Then there's inductive logic. Inductive logic is speculative. These flowers go, I know this is a tablecloth, they must be going the other side also. I'm not sure, but I suppose so. There's an inductive inference I'm drawing. Inductive logic leaves doubt, deductive logic gives no knowledge, and we are relying constantly on logic of the mind to run our lives. Imagine, these are handicaps we have, and we are not getting over them when the facility to get over this is within ourselves. When we discover who we are, we overcome all these handicaps and all these difficulties, and life becomes totally different. Forget about what you see there or not see there. This life becomes totally different. The knowledge how this creation has been structured, the knowledge how it's being operated, itself changes this life completely. Even if you just take it that this is a show going on, all of us are playing our part, knowledge, your life changes. Because we are involved in things which are part of an act, part of a script, and we are taking it so real and taking it upon our consciousness, upon ourselves, and becoming miserable with it. Why be miserable over something that was just set up like a show? Watch it. We go to a movie, we watch from the chair in the audience, we don't run to the stage. Let us not run to the stage here. The stage is the multi-dimensional stage. Let's sit in a beautiful chair in our head, behind the eyes, and watch the movie in which this body is also an actor. One simple thing, do that only, your life will change from tomorrow. Look at life as it is a play in which we are all actors, including this body of yours is an actor. Where are you? You're sitting in a comfortable chair in the audience. If it happens to be inside, one of the characters. the character you call yourself. You are sitting inside and watching. Life will change from tomorrow. Same life. It does not mean that life has to be altered. The same life will look so different. You smile at everything. You sit in a chair and smile at everything that's going on.